Is there music, any feelings going on? It sounded like it, just based on the hearing it.
Where's the shop then? Need to be these.
The only one that was counting down from today.
Thank you. It's 6 o'clock and I'll call this meeting to order. And before we start, I wanted to let everybody that might be online on YouTube that the incorrect Zoom address was in the agenda. And if you have any interest in coming in through Zoom for this meeting, the correct link to Zoom is on the screen. So hopefully anybody on YouTube that wants to get in on Zoom, please do your Zoom magic and come on in. Okay, thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ingerado is excused. Trustee Check.
Here.
Trustee Hunter. Here. Trustee Fisher.
Here.
Trustee Foster.
Here.
Trustee Ostrander.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Hey. And before I get on the agenda, I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight and having been here last night. I know it's really unusual to be here on a Friday night on a 3-day weekend, but this was the only night that could accommodate everyone's travel schedules. And I know the trustees wanted to be here for this. So thank you all so much. And people in the audience, thank you too for coming on a Friday night on Memorial Day weekend. Thank you. So could I have an approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So we're here to discuss and consider hiring an interim administrator in the process for hiring a full-time administrator. And again, thank you all for being here. So let me just give a little narrative background. So we received an email from Stefan on May 8th that he did not intend to renew his contract. And so Sam was on vacation and then was on vacation the next week, and we were all trying to be good about letting her be on vacation. So we have been through this before in 2022. So one of the things that we did last time, and I did it the following week of the 8th, is I called Dana Levesque, who you all met last night, because he is really helpful when towns are in a situation where they need an interim and a full-time. So I called him, and through him, he, and let me back up one step. So there is a City County Managers Association, which the town of Paonia is a member of. And that is a consortium that helps, obviously, city and county managers in Colorado. And they have retired city county managers who are considered, I have to look at my, they're senior advisors. So those senior advisors have the bead on what those people that have been town or county managers are out there in the realm in Colorado that will agree under court the right terms to serve as an interim town manager, town administrator. So I called Dana. He gave me the name of a gentleman who was one of those advisors. So I reached out to him in the middle of last week. End of last week. Anyway, he said, yes, he knew of at least one person, and there could be others, that they would then provide us names of those particular individuals, and we would get, along with the staff, we would get the information for those people who are interested in contracting as an interim administrator. Again, we did that back in 2022, end of 22, early 23. After reaching out to these advisors, we did get an interim administrator. So it is very possible to do, but it is a lot of contract negotiations, et cetera. So that's the first piece of discussion tonight. So then the second piece of discussion, and Sam was able through her listserv to get an example request for proposal for hiring an executive search firm which is what I would like to suggest we do in order to get a full-time administrator. So, and And let me back up again. So we have not, I know you would all like to look and talk about Stefan's contract, but we can't do that until he's back in town. So that was all, and he's gone now until Wednesday. So I want to visit with him and see about how we go about, and I'm assuming you all would like to do that, at least sit down and visit with him about his contract. And to some extent, whatever that might be. I'm not sure under which auspices, but we couldn't get it on this agenda for Tuesday. So I will talk to him and we'll see about how we can go about doing that. But at this point, he has indicated that he is willing to just continue working till his contract is over, more or less till July. His contract ends July 12th. So the other piece you have in front of you in the agenda packet is a summary of where we are on the budget. Because I thought that's important for you all to understand in terms of an interim administrator would be on contract, but that could come from the remaining salary from Stefan's position when he vacates the position. And just,
The 43,000.
yes. So it'd be about 40, about close to 44,000 would be left in there, more or less, given time off, sick leave, if he leaves earlier, things like that. So that generally should be relatively sufficient, because generally with the interim administrators, they're not full-time, they're part-time, and some of it is remotely, because none of them live in Paonia, to my knowledge. So it would be a contract when that person wouldn't be full-time. But my experience from when we lost Corinne is to have an interim, so we could have some crossover when Stefan is here to make an easier transition of information sharing. So I highly recommend an interim be considered and we follow through on that. And that is all based on all of you.
Is this a time to ask questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Is that on the basis that we don't believe we could recruit someone within 6 weeks?
Absolutely. We will not.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I just wanted
Yeah,
to
that's it.
clarify that that's why you're asking.
Exactly. To try to have a smoother transition and information goes to an interim. That, because we have, so the other thing, when we lost our administrator back in 2022, we had absolutely no grants or loans. There were no projects. It was a difficult time, but it was mostly, and I looked to Mary because she was the mayor then. It was really keeping all of the services going and taking care of repairs, et cetera. We are now in a place that's unprecedented for the town of Paonia to have this much grant money and this many projects that can move forward, which is really important for an interim to be able to come in and start keeping those plates in the air and give the staff the confidence that those plates will stay in the air. So that's my pitch for an interim. So then, if you all agree to direct the staff to create a request for proposal to go out to get proposals from those executive search firms that might be interested. And that's why there's just an example here. So you can see, what that might look like. What I read of it, it's certainly a really good start that just had to be tailored to the town of Paonia. And that, of course, all would come back to the trustees. All of this comes back to the trustees, but this is the first decision out of the gate to get started on what I hope are dual processes for an interim, and then go out to get us some help for full time.
So we would be beginning the search for both at the same time.
Within reason, yes. We would start the process for both at the same time. Exactly. Because after this this meeting, I will reach out with Sam to our advisor from CCMA and ask him if he will find those names of people that may be available on short notice for a short term. And then we can get that started and then get that information and bring it back to you all. And then if you provide the direction to create a request for proposal that is tailored to the town of Paonia, that would come back to the trustees. And once approved, it would go out on BidNet. And we could, we'll have dates and start getting proposals in. Hotchkiss is looking for a town administrator, and they have used a consulting firm. And I highly recommend it. It is a lot of work, and we don't really have the staff capacity to do it in-house. I helped a lot with it when originally, and it is more work than I am willing to ever do again. So I just would like you all to consider that too.
Yeah, just a quick question on the
Sure.
budget clarification. So we would, the idea being that we would use the remaining, approximately, what is it, 37,000, 34,000?
Of Stebbins,
Yeah.
yeah, about 43.
Sorry.
44. And that's an a general ballpark, yes.
To hire the interim. And then what budget would we be drawing on for the full-time?
Well, it depends on when they come in. It could be not until 2027. If we were to draw on 2026, we would have to probably do some, there have to be a budget amendment,
Right, so
but the money's there.
if we
to
were
do
to
it.
spend that 43,000, we would essentially be spending down the 26 budget.
Yes.
As administrator.
Yep.
So we wouldn't have another budget until 2027
We-
unless we reallocated.
Yes.
In an amendment.
And we can do a budget amendment and we have, what's it called? The unencumbered fund balance, there's about $1 million in administration. Not that it would, so here's the other thing. For any administrative position, it has to be allocated through admin, water, sewer, and trash. And that's why I have the second table, which is just to tell you this second table is the same line item, legal, engineering, and professional services from all four of those funds. And that just is an indication of what's in each of those funds as of the end of April. So there are there's some leeway in each of those funds to contract with a executive search firm. But again, we can do a budget amendment and there are additional funds. And something that can also be done within a particular fund is money can be moved between line items. Once you see what you have. So we are in a really good position financially to be able to do this. That's my recommendation. So more questions? Then I'll ask for comments from the audience.
Just a question on the total accrued time payout. Is that a PTO payout?
Yes, yeah,
And that's,
as of today,
okay, so that's accounted for in the
Yeah.
43.
right.
And then I don't know if you got my email, but I just, in the future, it'd be helpful to see vacation hours accrued. Is there a way to see that in the system?
I don't know.
No.
I can't answer that question. I don't do HR.
The administrative position does not accrue PTO since he's a contractor. It's agreed on and it's put into a bank at the beginning of the year for them to use throughout it.
I see. So it's an account that's funded and then drawn down from? Okay, so this is the remainder in that account.
As far as.
Questions from trustees? Seeing none, anybody want to come up and speak for 3 minutes? And can you have your phone set up? Sorry. Okay, anybody comments from the audience? Come on up. Sure.
McCarthy. So. Hi, everyone. Tonight, you decide two things: who runs the town in the short term, how we find the person who runs it in the long term. I want to speak to the second. The familiar mood is to hire a national executive search firm. It is a well-worn path, and it is the same path the town walked in 2023. A national search, finalists flown in from out of state. I don't think anyone here would call the 3 years since an easy ride. We can do this differently now because the world has changed. We are in the middle of the biggest shift in how work gets done since the Industrial Revolution. That changes two things. Running a search is no longer work only a firm can do, and a capable local no longer needs a 20-year resume to grow into this job. What you cannot outsource is judgment, integrity, and roots in this valley. So before you hire a firm, I am asking for 4 things. First, tell us what it costs. The finance memo proposes paying a search consultant out of professional services, but it puts no number on the page. These searches run $15,000 to $30,000 or more. Do not vote on a price the public has not seen. Second, do not assume this is one job. Tonight's position is administrator and treasurer both. One person spending the money and reporting on it, with the salary split across 4 separate funds. Consider splitting it, a full-time administrator and a separate finance role. Third, growing our own. The national firm is built to find the longest resume from the widest map. We could instead take a capable local and invest in training them for about what a firm costs, except the investment stays here in a neighbor. Fourth, put residents on the hiring committee, appoint a citizen search advisory committee with real screening authority, seated through a transparent public process. This is a rare chance for the people of Paonia to take ownership of their own government instead of handing that choice to outsiders. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else? Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Come on.
Harry Backer in town. Okay. I too was part of the 2022 hiring of a town administrator. We did not hire an executive search firm. Hired an interim town administrator who helped us through the process. That process took 6 months. We had 3 rounds of calling for people to send in resumes. We reviewed all 3, and it took us 3 rounds to get somebody who was qualified and who would work in Paonia, because that's the second part, is we had a wonderful candidate who thought his partner could not find a job here and so backed up. This is a long and intense process. Do we want to play an interim administrator again for 6 months to run this town, just to turn it over to somebody else again? An executive search was done using a firm for the police chief. It was a comprehensive thing that the people of Paonia got to take part in and got to help vote whether they wanted who they wanted out of the candidates. It was very well done. It was done in much less time than it took us to do the town administrator job. I highly recommend, first, get an interim, because we need an interim. Second, there is no one locally who can do this job. And hiring somebody and training, we tried that with Corinne First, even though she had worked with the town for 13 years. And I was absolutely behind her for that whole time. What I discovered after we hired Stefan is the deficits in knowledge that she had. That could not have been in 10 years or maybe 5 years of service, she might have learned, but the depth of knowledge just wasn't there. And we made so much progress once we had Stefan on board. He was the best thing that we did for this town. So hire a professional, get a good interim in the meantime. And don't rely on somebody local. Somebody local turns in their resume, absolutely, they can be looked at just like everybody else. They get just the same chance. But you can't train into this position, not with the contracts we have, not with the federal loans we have, not with the grants we have. It takes somebody who has experience in all these areas to be able to do this job and do this job well. We screw up these federal grants, we will not get another one. And they are redoing our water system, they're redoing our streets. We cannot blow this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Yes, come on up, Susan. Oh, has everybody signed the sheet? Sorry, got that part. Thank you.
Susie Caldas, just out of town by a fence line. This is a really difficult decision you guys have to make. And I appreciate everyone's shares so far. I remember in 2011 when Barbara Peterson was here acting clerk, and the town assisted in her going to graduate school to get the qualification to run the town as the administrator. And then once she was qualified, the town didn't hire her. I've been here since 2011, and I've seen ups and downs in the town, booms and busts. I worked with Ken Knight on a Space to Create project. He, Corinne was running things behind him, for him, under him. And then I'm not quite sure, I pulled out after 2020. But you are in a very, different time. It's a different time right now. And so I would say take some time, be thoughtful, get someone who can run these grant projects and be responsible, but also think of the nuances of small town charm. As the person who helped start the creative district here, I worked with several town managers, specifically Jen Coates in Ridgeway. She did a phenomenal job, and their mayor was outstanding as well. And they worked as a team, but they really involved the community in a really sweet way that allowed the community to feel like they were part of building the next 10 years. And they did a big Main Street project. They became a creative district. They've done a Space to Create project. I'm sure they've done a ton of infrastructure and everything else. So I think you do have a lot of resourced people in this community, whether you have someone qualified to be the town manager, I don't know. But you'd probably be surprised what is gonna come to you. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sure, come on, Christina.
Patterson, out of town. I would just say slow down. I don't know what the rush is. Like, if you look at, I would love for the trustees to look over these grant projects before you dive into getting, an administrator, because I would trust you guys to just do the deep dive, look where we're at with the grant projects, because yeah, we have a lot of grant money coming in, but what is actually being done in these grant processes? We just got the 2 million gallon relined. That has been, a couple years, okay? The 2 mile project that was supposed to be in the works is not even started. The 5th Street project, not even started. So it's like, we don't have to rush. These projects are not even started. They're on hold. I don't know where the money is, or, if we're getting it from the government, if we don't start it by a certain day, but I think it would be great for you guys to know that before we even get a part-time administrator, so that we know what to show them. So Leslie Klusmeyer was top-notch. She did so much in such a short period of time, and I talked to a lot of employees that worked here, and she really listened to people. She got things back on track. She figured out it was going to be 37 million for the water system. She did she did everything, like she did the schematic of everything that needed to be done and set Stefan up so well. So it's like an intern can get a lot done, and I don't think you should rush this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, anyone on Zoom? Okay, thanks. Thank you for all that. And I just wanted to say, we do get a really thorough review from Stefan in his quarterly reports about where all these projects are. So it's all there to be seen and very well done. And I just have to say, we need an interim right away. Because we just learned last night, as trustees, we don't sit down with staff and ask, we are not directing staff. We can only do, what we do as a group. So the suggestion that sit down and find out what's going on all the projects. We have that in the quarterly reports, and we'll have it again. We'll have an update on what's going on with all the projects, and they are in the works. So, just go ahead.
To
Sure.
add to what you're saying, we also will be having the hearing specifically on the water system with.
It would be a work session.
Right, excuse
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
So we'll
Right.
go over all of that
Right.
during that as well.
Right,
Correct.
exactly. Because you all have a lot of information you get caught up on. There's been a lot going on in 3 years, and that's why we'll talk at the next meeting. But yeah, those work sessions will be really helpful. But I can't stress enough that I'm in the office all the time. We need an interim and we need to start for a full-time.
Yeah,
That is
I
my
guess I would
recommendation.
just sort of add to that, you know, as someone who has applied for and administered federal grants, it is a very intensive process. And having multiple of them in order to ensure that we stay on top of it and can stay eligible and meet our requirements with them is not anything that any of the trustees nor the mayor is frankly able to do at this, given the structure of the government. That being said, you know, I've started to really look into them and understand the system where they're reported in and understand, you know, what's spent and not spent. I've asked for some updates to be made in that system because some of those things were out of date. I have confidence that we
You're
will
talking
get,
about the table.
yeah,
yeah.
the table for our grants where we track grant
Right.
spending and management. And I have every confidence that we will learn them as new board members going forward. In my experience working with city government, a good administrator is essential. And I think we do need an interim. I agree. Leslie was really wonderful. I worked with her a little bit when we were running the comprehensive plan update and, you know, maybe she could do interim work again for us. We'll see. That could be great. But I personally am not in any rush, but I do think we need to get that interim person going. So I think today's the day to start that because we have 6 weeks to make sure that happens.
And I just would ask that you all consider directing the staff to start the RFP. And let me back up, that there are a lot of firms that are working in Colorado right now as executive search firms that are in Colorado. They're not all national, but when you put out a request for proposal, you get proposals from all over. But that
So-
doesn't mean.
Clarifying question, when we put out an RFP, are you suggesting we also hire a search firm for an interim? Or is it
No.
through DOLA can
No.
help us with the interim?
I think the folks from CCMA that
Yes.
I've talked to, they have the bead on who's available.
Right. So
from-
then that just requires the RFP with the job description and the proposal.
For the RFP would be for hiring the executive search firm for the full-time.
I
But
see.
with the interim, no, it could be much less. It's more direct, working with them and then getting resumes from potential people who are interested, and that will involve the public as well as the trustees, of course, and seeing what kind of a contract they might want. But mostly I just need to work with Sam and reach out to this gentleman and say, we really would love some names that we could get in sooner than later. So be prepared for some more special meetings, unfortunately.
Could you lay out again, please, the pathways for the two different
Yes.
actions?
Interim would be informal. We wouldn't put out an RFP. That would be done through the CCMA advisors and so get some names from them. But for the hiring an executive search firm for the full-time, that needs to go out under a request for proposal, which is created by the staff, comes back to the trustees at a meeting. Trustees approve the RFP, and then it would go out to bid.
RFP for a search firm.
For a search firm, yes. Those are the two tracks we would do. And there was a comment on price, and I don't know what the price would be. That is determined by what we ask for and the proposals we get. I know, I don't know, I don't remember how many proposals came in when the town did use a search firm for the police chief. I don't remember, but and in the past, the town wasn't using what's called BidNet, which is a national software that's where everyone goes to look for, and it's really used in Colorado quite a bit. We now put our RFPs, any RFP, on BidNet. So it goes to a much wider group than just somebody that somebody knows. So I have a lot of confidence that we would get some good firms that would offer up their help. And I have to tell you, their help is I worked a lot on their first one. It's too much work.
May I ask,
Mhm.
it's free for us to put out the RFP
Yeah.
onto BidNet?
Yeah.
And then are
They-
you suggesting we specify a range in that RFP for these firms, or are we just gonna wait for them to come back?
I don't know. I can't answer that because I haven't really done this. Yes.
Generally, when we put out RFPs for anything like that,
what we define as the scope of work, what we expect from them, and then they'll use that and bring it back and tell us, you know, these are the things we will do, this will be the cost for it, they'd have it all laid out. And then you'd be able to look at those and score them and decide which firm you wanted to go with.
Or at that time, we may decide none of them,
Sure.
right? That's also an option.
Yeah, no, that option is absolutely up to you.
Mhm.
It doesn't commit you to anything.
No. Any other questions? Anybody ready to make 1, 2 motions? It'd probably be better to be 2. If you would be so
We'll start with one. I move to instruct staff to begin the process searching for an interim town administrator.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to instruct staff to produce an RFP to bring back to us to review for an administrator, full-time position.
Or an executive search firm.
An executive search firm for the administrator in a full-time position.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. This is. With that, any other questions? It is 6:30. I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all, and thank you all for coming in the audience too. Thanks very much. On a Friday night, on a 3-day weekend, you get gold stars. We all get